Chief McDonald, Executive Director, Mr. Django Sibley, Madam Secretary, Inspector General Matthew Barragan, Mr. City Attorney Carlos de la Guerra, and members of the public. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Sanchez Gordon, Shields, Garcia, Scobin, and Tabor are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this meeting. All public comment will be heard during item 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 60 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes, depending on how many speaker cards we have this morning. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak on any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Message for those attending meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and receive feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt the meeting, you will be provided with only 1 warning to cease disruptive conduct. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. With that, we will proceed with item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police. Chief McDonald?
Good morning, President Sanchez Gordon, Commissioners, Inspector General Barragan, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Executive Director Sibley. Today's report will cover the prior 2-week period. I'll highlight key events, share our current crime statistics, and provide an update on our current staffing levels. During the previous 2 weeks, the department experienced 0 officer-involved shootings. Year-to-date, we remain at 1, compared to 5 at this same point last year, which is an 80% decrease. On Monday, February 9th, approximately 500 students from Thomas Jefferson High School, Maya Angelou Community High School, and Santee Education Complex participated in a planned walkout in Newton area to protest the recent ICE actions. Students initially gathered at Santee Education Complex before breaking into smaller groups and walking through the area while remaining on sidewalks and not disrupting vehicular traffic. A group of approximately 30 students later made their way to Los Angeles City Hall, growing to about 50 as they assembled on the steps and eventually made their way over the bike rack barriers. At 12:26 hours, Security Services Division requested backup for a 4:15 group after water bottles were thrown. However, the request was canceled shortly thereafter when the group moved back behind the established bike rack barriers. The demonstration concluded around 1400 hours with no arrests, no force used, and no report of officer or community member injuries. On Friday, February 13th, LAUSD students conducted another planned walkout in protest of ICE actions. Students from Thomas Jefferson High School, Maya Angelou Community High School, and again, the Santee Education Complex were directed via social media to use Metro Transit and gather at Santee Education Complex prior to marching on to City Hall. LAPD personnel were deployed with 1 sergeant and 10 officers staged at Central Station. At approximately 11:45, an estimated 200 students assembled on Spring Street steps of City Hall before marching to the Federal Building. While at the Federal Building, the group began to bang on windows and doors near the entrance. The group then proceeded to march to the Federal Detention Center. While outside the detention center, participants flooded the loading dock area and were confronted by Federal Protective Service agents. Members of the group threw frozen water bottles, striking 2 Federal Protective Service agents and resulting in 1 officer sustaining a head injury and 1 officer sustaining a laceration above the right eye. FPS called and requested LAPD assistance. LAPD personnel redeployed to a nearby staging location, but did not engage with the crowd. The group subsequently returned to the Federal Building, at times blocking both the sidewalk and roadway, before marching back to City Hall at approximately 14:15 hours. The demonstration concluded with full dispersal by 3 p.m. No LAPD personnel were injured and no arrests were made. Numerous acts of vandalism were reported at the Federal Building in the form of tagging. A report was completed for assault with a deadly weapon for the officers who were injured during the protests. It's unknown at this time if FPS completed investigative reports for the vandalism. On Saturday, February 14th, the permitted event Solidarity with People of Iran rally occurred in downtown area. Approximately 20,000 participants came to the event. LAPD was in communication with event organizers and helped to facilitate their movement during the march. This event was peaceful with no issues and concluded approximately 1600 hours. In addition to the incidents already discussed during the week of February 9th through 15th, the department managed 16 additional protest-related events, primarily school walkouts, throughout Operations Valley Bureau and Operations West Bureau. Each event had fewer than 200 participants and remained peaceful. For the week of February 16 through 22, there was 1 protest related to ICE activity in the Topanga area. The event drew approximately 35 participants and remained peaceful with no reported incidents. On February 18, 2026, the Department's Commercial Crimes Division Cargo Theft Task Force, working in participation with the Los Angeles Port Police, the California Department of Justice Tax Recovery in the Underground Economy Program, or TRU, and the California Department of Motor Vehicles Investigation Division executed 3 search warrants as part of an ongoing multi-agency investigation into the theft of container chassis. The warrants were served at locations in Corona, Compton, and Wilmington, and as a result of the coordinated enforcement operation, 5 suspects were taken into custody and booked for grand theft. During the service of the warrants, investigators recovered and impounded 84 stolen container chassis, 11 tractors, 25 additional vehicles, 6 all-terrain vehicles, and 2 heavy-duty forklifts believed to be associated with fraudulent vehicle identification numbers. Investigators also recovered 3 handguns, multiple digital devices, and more than $300,000 in U.S. currency. The estimated value of the recovered property exceeds $5 million. This case highlights the importance of strong regional partnerships in addressing organized cargo theft, which has significant economic impacts on our ports, supply chain infrastructure, and local businesses. The investigation remains ongoing as detectives continue working to identify additional suspects. On February 20th, 2026, at approximately 13:15 hours, Rampart patrol officers responded to a radio call of a 415 man with a gun in the 750 block of Garland Avenue. A witness reported observing a suspect driving recklessly up and down the street in a black Audi SUV. The suspect then parked, exited the vehicle, and approached a white Toyota parked along the curb, removed a short-barreled shotgun, and placed it into his waistband. Fearing for his safety, the witness returned inside his residence and contacted police. Drone as a first responder, or DFR, was immediately deployed and arrived overhead prior to officers entering the immediate area. The DFR provided real-time aerial observations, confirmed the suspect's location within the perimeter, which helped to reduce the risk to responding personnel and the community. With the assistance of K-9, officers safely took the suspect into custody without incident. A short-barreled Remington 870 shotgun was recovered at the scene. The suspect was arrested for violation of 33-215 PC, possession of a short-barreled rifle or shotgun. On another event on February 19th at approximately 2:40 a.m., Foothill Division patrol officers responded to a radio call of a burglary suspect in the area of Piney and Ralston Streets. Upon arrival, officers determined that the suspect had entered an occupied residence and then fled the location. Officers quickly established a perimeter and requested canine resources. While coordinating containment, officers learned that the suspect had forced entry into a neighboring residence garage, barricaded himself inside, and was refusing to exit. There was also concern that he may have access to a firearm. Given the potential threat to the surrounding community and our personnel, SWAT was activated and responded along with our crisis negotiation team. Negotiators made repeated attempts to establish communication and gained voluntary compliance. However, the suspect refused to surrender. A gas plan was implemented in an effort to safely resolve the situation. During the operation, a fire ignited inside the structure. The suspect subsequently exited the location and was taken into custody without further incident. No officers or community members were injured. The suspect was booked for a robbery, home invasion robbery. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Metropolitan Division B Platoon was contacted by Topanga Division detectives regarding a recent burglary investigation. During their follow-up, officers canvassed the area and identified a suspect vehicle captured on surveillance footage. Officers subsequently began monitoring that vehicle as part of an ongoing investigation. On February 13th, while conducting surveillance, officers observed the vehicle traveling through residential neighborhoods in a manner consistent with burglary activity. The vehicle later returned to the city of Gardena. As officers arrived in the area, they observed multiple suspects exit a residence carrying property, enter the suspect vehicle, and flee. Gardena Police Department responded and confirmed that a burglary had just occurred. Officers continued monitoring the vehicle as it traveled into Rampart Division, where it was stopped on a dead-end street. Believing this presented a safe opportunity to take the suspects into custody, units coordinated a tactical approach. As officers were positioning, the suspect vehicle suddenly exited the dead-end street and drove directly toward police units, intentionally ramming 3 department vehicles before fleeing the area. Air support maintained visual observation of the vehicle until it collided with an MTA bus at a nearby intersection. The suspects fled on foot but were quickly apprehended in the immediate area. Both suspects were transported for medical treatment and subsequently booked for burglary. Additional charges for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer are being requested. All analysis, our crime for the week ending February 21st, all analysis based on offense count with the exception of homicide and victim shot through February 21st. Year-to-date, compared to 2025, we continue to see reductions in crime citywide. Combined persons and property crimes are down 18.2%, representing over 3,000 fewer crimes. Person crimes are down 8.1%, and property crimes are down 20.8%. With respect to homicide, the city has experienced year-to-date decrease of 23.3%, which is 10 fewer victims compared to this time last year. Victims shot citywide are down 28.7%, or 43 fewer victims compared to 2025. Aggravated assaults down 3.3%, robberies down 13.5%. Firearms recovered are up 52.4% through January 31st, again compared to last year. Burglaries are down 32.9% year-to-date. Residential burglaries are down 36.1%, and non-residential burglaries are down 27.1%. Motor vehicle thefts are down 30.3%, a reduction of 968 vehicles compared to 2025. Amazing trends that we're seeing here. I'm very proud of our folks that are out there doing a very difficult job very well every day. Our personnel strength, sworn personnel as of February 23rd is 8,719. Civilian professional staffing is at 2,473, and we currently have 347 reserve officers. That concludes my report to the Commission this morning, Madam President.
Thank you, Chief, for the report. Before I move on to the questions from my fellow commissioners, I want to speak briefly about the Executive Directive Number 17 issued by the Mayor on February 10th, 2026, titled protecting Angelenos from ongoing dangerous federal immigration operations. This directive responds to an increase in federal civil immigration enforcement activity in our city, and it impacts on community trust, public safety, and the role of the local law enforcement. The mayoral directive requests that this commission direct the police chief to update a department-wide notice regarding the department's response to incidents involving federal immigration enforcement actions. The mayor's executive order makes various recommendations for modifications that the LAPD directive, including 1, instructing officers to use their body-worn video cameras to capture their interactions with federal officers and maintain the video footage. 2, instructing department supervisors to identify where it is tactically safe to do so, on-scene federal immigration supervisors and attempt to capture those individual names and badge numbers on their BWV cameras. 3, reaffirming the instruction that LAPD officers should take measures to maintain the peace through de-escalation and other department-approved tactics. 4, instructing officers to provide clear communication by bystanders as to the department's neutral role with regard to not participating in federal immigration enforcement activity, and that LAPD presence at scene is limited to ensuring public safety. 5, instructing officers to summon emergency services and render aid. 6, instructing officers to receive information about violations of law, to notify their supervisors, and 7, ensuring that the department continues to preserve and label evidence relating to all immigration incidents and make referrals to the California Attorney General and/or the Los Angeles County District Attorney as needed. Chief, I hereby direct you to closely examine the mayoral directive and report back as to the reasonableness and feasibility of implementations in this area. Chief, I know that that there will be follow-up. However, how is the department currently defining what constitutes an official response to requests from federal partners for assistance with activities that have a nexus to federal immigration enforcement activities? Are there particular criteria that the department is utilizing to define what constitutes an official response? Chief?
Okay. Thank you. Relative to your first part of your comments there, we did examine the changes that we would need to make relative to the mayor's executive director number 17. We broke it down in a matrix, examined what we're currently doing. We had issued directives in June and a follow-up in December, and we took those then and compared those against Executive Directive 17, and we are pretty much doing everything in that directive. There was one modification that has been made and will continue to move forward. Otherwise, we're in alignment with the mayor's directive. So as we go forward, we'll report back more formally. The protocols that, let's see, there were some additional requirements established by Executive Directive 17, but those are being incorporated into a revised set of protocols to ensure the department's full compliance with the directive.
Thank you, Chief. I believe firmly that it is the job of this commission to listen intently to those on the ground who are observing how LAPD is conducting its operations in the field, especially in connection to federal immigration enforcement activity and constitutionally protected protest. We have received community input requesting that the LAPD report on ICE activity in the city. My understanding is that LAPD does not receive notice of ICE's civil immigration enforcement operations, but that the department does on occasion respond to some incidents based on calls for service. Can you elaborate on the kinds of information the commission can expect to be provided with in future public meetings when immigration updates are presented?
Yes, Commissioner, Chief Hurtado will provide the first in a regular series of immigration updates presentation beginning at the March 3rd Bureau of Police Commission meeting. We expect that the updated protocols will be completed in advance of that meeting, and Chief Hurtado will include an overview of all of those protocols as part of his presentation.
So Chief, then on that note, will you provide additional opportunities such as forums or town halls for public input and engagement with the department on this important issue?
Absolutely. We take every opportunity we can to be able to educate the community as to what our policy is, what our procedures are, what our limitations are, and that we're there not to enforce civil immigration law, but in order to protect everybody. We respond to the scene of any request for help, dispatch in the case of potential kidnappings or ICE activity, dispatch a unit along with a supervisor to assess what is occurring, and then we'll be following the protocols to be able to move forward from there. Most of those are already in place, as I mentioned, and I see, full alignment with the Mayor's Executive Directive 17.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Inspector General, Mr. Barragan, I understand that the Office of the Inspector General will be initiating a project related to ED 17. Can you share what oversight you intend to provide in this area?
Yes, we've been meeting with stakeholders throughout the city, faith-based groups, civil rights groups, and nonprofits who have shared their concerns with my office. And in response to Executive Directive Number 17, today I'll be initiating a new audit and review. We'll be working with the department to request notification of all future incidents of department personnel responding to calls for service at the scene of immigration enforcement action. We will be requesting an incident number, area location of the occurrence, and a police special investigator, a member of my team, will review all body-worn video recordings and will report back to this full board at future meetings with regarding compliance with the executive directive and the updates that the chief referenced.
The person with the blue mask. The person in the blue mask, a white shirt, you are being disruptive. With a ponytail. This is your first and last warning. Next time you will be removed from our building. Finally, while the issue before us reflects larger national policy debates, our focus remains squarely on community safety, trust, and constitutional rights. We remain focused on protecting all Angelenos regardless of background, and ensuring that the Los Angeles Police Department's role in this challenging dynamics is transparent. I also want to thank Mayor Bass for her leadership and courage in these unprecedented times. Thank you. We will now move on to questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Fabian Garcia.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Chief, for the report. In addition to the directives and the updated actions, and you references, Chief, the presentation from Chief Hurtado, there is, and we'll hear more from him at the time, but there is also an ongoing effort where there are officers identified at every division to be immigration liaisons. So not only the supervisors, but again, every division will have at minimum 2 officers who are constantly meeting with Hurtado and others in leadership to understand the directives, the dynamics, and what else they can do, not only to follow the directives, but to engage community and community leaders for folks to better understand the roles and to also provide feedback to law enforcement on how officers should be arriving and engaging with the public should they have to respond to ICE. So again, looking forward to his presentation to learn more.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just an update, too. We had a meeting that the mayor called yesterday with clergy leaders from throughout the city on this issue. A very productive meeting with the plan to move forward with some communication strategies to be able to better educate the community on what we're doing and get input from the community on community concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Shields?
Thank you. Good morning, Chief. Thank you for your report on some of those enforcement activities, including how the drone as a first responder has helped in certain situations. And I appreciate the report about, the ongoing First Amendment assemblies, and it's good to hear that there was no uses of force used at that time. I continue to receive, messages from the Los Angeles Press Club and others concerned about the department's crowd control tactics. And I believe Commissioner Scobin had previously asked for some type of presentation that tells us exactly what are the tactics that are being used and how is the department making sure that individual officers are aware of what can be used and what can't be used, and when certain less lethal is used and under what circumstances. I think I'd echo Commissioner Scobin's request. I think that's a timely thing for us to be presented with. And also just, again, I understand there's ongoing litigation and things like that, but us as the oversight body, I think should really understand, the policies around press, how press is being defined, treated, and also relating to juveniles and what are the department's practices relating to that. So I would ask that we get some additional briefing on that. And then also, to the extent individuals do identify situations where it appears that, members of the public are injured, what does the department do to investigate and follow up on that?
Great.
Thank
Yep.
you.
We'll prepare that for the commission. Thank you.
Very well. Anything further?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Shields. All right, Commissioner Tabor? Any questions, comments?
Question, actually, Chief, and one would believe that ICE's actions in Los Angeles have really only been focused on Spanish-speaking Hispanic populations. Are you aware, is the department aware of any actions affecting the Caribbean immigrants or immigrants from South Asia that are significant populations here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, we are aware that ICE has made arrests of people from various parts of the world. It hasn't been limited to any one place.
And can you speak at this point to how those populations will be included in the immigration outreach efforts, either by the department or by the Inspector General, in there, just to ensure that we're recognizing not just the diversity, but our responsibility to reflect the interests of those populations?
Right. No, thank you, Commissioner, for that. We will continue to do media outreach, which we've been doing since June, to be able to educate our entire community as to what's going on, what our policies, practices, procedures are, what they can expect from us, that we're there not to enforce some civil immigration law, but to be able to keep the peace at scenes where this is occurring, and to be able to be the police department for everybody. Trust is our currency, and we have some work to do to be able to build that up after the incidents we've seen since June. So that's a work in progress, but we are including all of our community members.
All right, thank you. And then I'd like to ask that at some point we come back to the commission and give us an update on just
Sure.
population's impacts and where we are in that process.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything further?
No further.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Tabor. Commissioner Scobin?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Shields, and Chief, thanks for committing to that presentation. I got to be honest, I'm a little disappointed that it hasn't happened yet, especially in light of the motion now approved by the City Council. I'm hoping that we can get that presentation scheduled as soon as possible. I'd also ask that in light of the motion, included in that presentation, the department highlight current challenges the department faces in these scenarios, such as handling and identifying of press and any possible recommendations or solutions that the department has in that. It's clearly an issue that's continuing and something that we got to work hard to improve. The other topic I'd like to talk about is personnel. You've been very consistent in pointing out the personnel shortage we face and advocating for what you believe is the appropriate staffing level. I read a news article recently that cited 23% of authorized sworn staffing at the sheriff's department is not available to work in the field. It'd be helpful for us and the public to have a better understanding of the actual number of officers available for full duty rather than just total strength. As such, I'm requesting that future personnel report outs to the commission drill down a little further and identify such statuses as the number of officers on restricted light duty, number of officers off due to injury, number of officers off for the reasons such as military leave, bonding time, etc., number of officers benched due to disciplinary reasons, number of officers off for vacation or off for other reasons, and anything else believed would be helpful. I recognize that these numbers may be fluid and not be exact, but they would give us a clearer picture of our actual strength and the number of officers who are able to respond to the public needs.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have those numbers available and happy to share them.
Thank you.
Any other comment? All right, we move on now to the public comment period. Madam Secretary, how many cards do we have at this moment?
We have 31.
31 cards. Okay. Because of the number of cards and also because I'd like to give as many speakers as possible an opportunity to speak, we will limit our public comment period to 2 minutes per person. All right, and go to 60 minutes. Call the first speaker, please.
The first speaker we have is Charmaine Elizabeth Johnson.
Excuse me, gentlemen, you're being disruptive. We have a speaker. 2 minutes. Excuse me. You are being disruptive. This is your first and last warning. The next time you will be removed from this building, from this room and the building. You may proceed.
Yes. On 11/18/2025 at this police commissioners meeting, I spoke about attempted murder. I am being murdered. My hair is being pulled out on the streets. I'm being sedated with date rape drugs. It's being pulled out individually on the streets, and bugs are being put in my hair, bloodsuckers, to remove my hair from the scalp to hide the attempted murder. The police were informed about this last year, and 129, I went to the police station and met with Detective Quintala, who advised me that shampoo was in the bottle which contained ice cream spiked with fiberglass to tear out my intestines and my internal organs. Officers and or detectives, if they are hiding the crime of attempted murder, they're violating the Penal Code 31, thus are principals to the crime liable for the same crime as the FBI agents involved in the attempted murder, the crimes. And yes, and the incident number is 2517-4204-2581. I have the court date here for April the 1st. And I have another specimen. I'm being dispensed things to negate my fertility, to prevent me from impregnating, to steal my business innovations also. So I'm going to give you that specimen, Chief. And I would just like to ask, did you serve lawsuit to Dominique H. Choi? The lawsuit that I gave you at the meeting 2 weeks ago? Did you give him the lawsuit that I gave you? Chief, did you give him the lawsuit that I gave you?
The chief's not able to answer your questions during public comment.
Call the next speaker, please.
Next, we have Philip Tabby.
All items, please.
Okay, 2 minutes.
You know, Smith exposed and turned in corruption, but was met with harsh criticism from our own chief at the time and current corrupt councilwoman, Monica Rodriguez. I learned when you speak truth to power in this city, they try to silence you into submission. I'm a victim of these unfair practices as well. In the 30 years I had been involved, I've seen major decline in the way this department operates. Our senior lead officer's level of service has even declined because of many factors. Corrupt Monica Rodriguez has been a factor in trying to control officers, moving them around and sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, and command staff, such as Benedict Moore, bowing down to her demands. As a CPAB co-chair, I spoke up and was removed as volunteer completely with not one reason given. We held perfect meetings and always informed the captain of important situations surrounding Foothill Station. Apparently, if you act like a real advisory board, the powers to be will shut you down. I've been to CPAB meetings since, and they are watered down and controlled by the Crow Sergeant. No one says anything because they're afraid they will be removed. I called out things like Deputy Chief Hamilton, who lied to our community about the Blue Line flag, and Loose Hands Lozano, who talked about another captain's personnel file and yelled, "You fucking idiot," out his company vehicle to a citizen while he was on a CPAB meeting Zoom call. I have it on tape. But the department does not hold these people responsible. They're promoted or kept in their positions. What the hell happened to the LAPD? It's disgusting that this department also protects command staff like Hurtado. Also, that Hurtado who abuse women. Also, is it true new hires need to be COVID vaccinated? If so, that's horrible. Recruit numbers are very low. Also, bring back the Blue Line flag. And why does this commission ignore the accusations from the victims of Scientology? Children are involved and you.
The next speaker is Gabriel. Gabriel.
Testing. On February 18th, Wednesday at 8 p.m., Alley PD Hollenbeck Division attacked us outside of our general meeting, right outside Boyle Heights City Hall. I'm surprised you didn't give an update on that, Jim. Over 50 pigs from the Hollenbeck Division came for a mental health situation. Once all that was cleared up, cops were just chilling in the parking lot on their phones like everyone in LA knows LAPD do. They physically attacked us with punches, batons. They specifically targeted the family of Jeremy Anti-Flores, who your department shot and killed last summer on July 14th, 2025. They punched the mother in the head, wrongly arrested the brother, Sergio Flores, arrested the minor sister of Jeremy Flores, and threw the other sister to the ground while beating multiple of our members, including a breast cancer survivor. You hit her, your officer hit her in the breast, the one breast she has left. You guys hit her there. Y'all hit a veteran in the head who blacked out, who didn't know he blacked out until the next day when he went to the BA to get a scan. Multiple of our members, including LAUSD teachers and bus operators, were hit by batons. Your officers hit me with a baton. For no reason. There was no dispersal. There was no order to leave. Your cops just simply target us because we've been putting pressure on you guys for over 10 years, specifically against Hollenbeck Division. None of that is going to stop us. We're only more determined to fight against you and to bring every single one of you motherfuckers down. And something from the homie Sammy Carrera, who was wrongly arrested, and we organized, and when we went to do a complaint, 60 pigs came out in riot control. He wanted me to give you a message. His message is, LAPD, stop doing traffic control for the Migra. Stop doing traffic control for ICE.
Next, we have Sandra. Sandra over Zoom.
Hi, thank you very much. Using the words of Jamie Mustard, who's the author of Child X that we gave you for your own reading. How far along have you gotten those books, by the way? The greatest crime that Scientology has committed is the erasure of a child's mind. That's because they're removing the natural growth and evolution of a child's mind before they become a creative, intelligent, free-thinking individual, destroying their humanity, their empathy, and compassion by drilling it out. We come to you week after week, asking you to remove yourselves from any relationship with them in your community programs and your CPABs. They get involved with these for recruitment purposes. They have no desire to truly build a community relations. They save point law enforcement and local governments with fake human rights, anti-science, psychology, and alternate mental health approaches. Save pointing is about making allies of decision makers so that Scientology is easier to defend and are only interested in those who have an influence to control Scientology's public face. By allowing this shoulder rubbing and acceptance of this criminal organization, you promote and allow child, mental, physical, and sexual abuse, along with the human trafficking of people into forced slave labor within the walls of that big blue building and on the streets surrounding it. One of the definitions of human trafficking is withholding someone's personal documents, something Scientologists do. Scientology has a policy called fair gaming. A critic or someone considered an enemy of Scientology could be deprived of property or injured by any means necessary by any Scientology without any discipline by Scientology. This is what they've done to Lara Anderson by forcing her to lose her job. And they are doing it to Audit LA because they come and they speak to you about the truth of Scientology.
The next speaker is Andrew Grabner.
I made a whole thing where I've made comments about how the chief takes so long in giving comments, and yet this one seems to have no interest on doing any, okay, thank you, no interest on doing any, trimming of his speech or anything. So what you should do now is you should make him submit his comments in writing, and then we can review them before the meeting, so we're not wasting 15 plus minutes on him just rambling about stuff. It's not even anything we need to hear. It's just rambling about different things the LAPD did. Well, just give us the fucking crime stats, and that should be it. It's usually down, and of course, you somehow need another $3 billion, even though crime is literally down. So it doesn't even make the slightest sense. Not that you do anything to actually, prevent crime or anything. That you don't keep anyone safe, literally. So, and yet he spends so much time, and you have to trim our time instead. We could just probably let everyone speak for the full 3 minutes if you just shut him up and let us review a written report before the meeting or something that we can comment on. So we've got a number of consent agenda items. I don't even have time for this since you cut my time. So, but just a few highlights. You've got the chief going out to a party with ICE. Yeah. The Baker to Vegas event. ICE is a part of that event. They have an ICE team. So he's going to an event, and LAPD has numerous teams participating in this event that also has ICE agents participating in it. So that's very interesting. And finally, Matthew, when are you going to acknowledge the complaint I filed almost 3 weeks ago? I filed a complaint.
Next, we have Steve Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning. You have 2 minutes.
The United States of America is a constitutional republic. Christ is king, and all lives matter. First, let me address Special Order 40. Has anyone on the police commission actually read it or knows what it says or contains? The LAPD is law enforcement. ICE is law enforcement. They should be working together to enforce the law. Chief has given a great report. He has explained time after time and educated the public as much as they can be educated. At a certain point, it's not about education. It's about resistance to the enforcement of law. Now, let's get to the website. The website, lapdonline.org, is still not being updated in a timely way. The new commissioner, Commissioner Tabor, is not even listed. It's still vacant. The last chief's report message is in December. We're about to go into March. So that needs to be updated in a timely way. You can utilize that website to put out public service videos to the public for education purposes. It is completely underutilized, and I asked the commission to take a good look at it and see what you can do. That is the face of LAPD for many people. If anyone is considering joining the LAPD as a young person, they will be looking at that website, and when they see certain things that I've been talking about for quite a while, about how it's not updated in a timely way and the imagery that is used, and it's not going to encourage people to apply and join the LAPD. The LAPD is a great police organization. You need to empower it and support it. That's all I will say for today. The Voices for LAPD has a good letter posted today. Stay safe, God bless, and God save the LAPD and Los Angeles. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jonathan Foster.
Hello, it works. Jonathan Foster, I support the police department. I think Trump brought the crime down. So let's talk about Torres today, where he pulled out the cell phone and they went boom, 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 and one officer fell to the ground like he was shooting, but he had a cell phone, which was really kind of odd. But where was the head-to-toe body armor that I've requested? That's how I save people. And they got officers that killed somebody. Now they have to have a psychological examination. Who's putting people through that kind of stuff? You people are. Jim, I don't think you're a racist. Hi, Jim. Love you, buddy. But I am upset about outcomes, happenings, and things, and lies. So the next one was on this. I hope it works. Let's see.
That are unique for one having a parachute. Early on, they were one of the early ones to have a parachute.
Okay, great. So I called Skydio and I said this. If they deploy the parachute, it needs a beep and a buzz so it doesn't hit somebody in the head. Beep, beep, bzz, 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 something. They need to know that a drone is falling. When can they use the drones for the pursuit? So the LAPD can hold back, but they can follow with the drone and switch out multiple drones every half hour when the battery's dying. Also, when it loses connectivity, it says it has to go back home. How come it can't stay in place for 3 minutes until maybe it can reconnect? Those are things. The last one, 25 seconds. Oscar Asensio, he had his 8-year-old daughter killed by an illegal alien. He had his leg amputated. His wife can't walk. And under Oscar Asensio, Marine, active duty Marine, everybody's getting removed by ICE, is getting removed. All 30 million of you. And you too, sedition, President.
Luis Carranza Jr. Luis Carranza Jr. Margarita Carranza.
My name is Margarita Carranza. Chief McDonald, board members, it's not my first time here, but I promise you it will not be my last time. I refuse to take no. No is not an answer. I'm giving you a criminal because he's an attorney, because he's a famous attorney. He will not commit a crime? No. He did a $14 million robbery from me, and I refuse to take and be accepted that you are investigating. No, you have questioned him. You have questioned the criminal himself. He is a specialist, criminal specialist. Nobody has questioned my defendants. My defendant is the city of Los Angeles, AAA Property Home Insurance, Gallagher Bassett Insurance. My injuries, outpatient back surgery, knee replacement, extreme amount of broken bones. And these guys said that he got 25,000. My complaint to LAPD is ID theft, forgery, because I never signed anything. You guys have accepted that he says it's a civil matter. This is a criminal matter. This matter, I took it to court. The judge in Chatsworth dismissed it because it's a criminal matter, and he doesn't take civil matters in his courtroom. Who do I go to get this investigated to? Please, I'm asking. I went to another chief in San Fernando. City of San Fernando sees the fraud. Everybody sees. I hired a private investigator. We did a deal. He said, I get 2 more
No,
minutes.
it's one speaker
Call
per
the
part.
next speaker, please. 2
The
minutes.
next speaker, please. Tran San Hua. San Hua.
Your 2 minutes are up. The next speaker is coming next.
Oh, he.
You can't see your time.
But
No,
he has a card.
it
He has a
doesn't
card.
work
I
that way.
told
I'm
him.
sorry.
He can
Luis, do
speak.
you want to, Mr. Carranza, do you want to speak? Okay. No.
I called
can
his name
speak.
first.
Call the next speaker, please.
Luis Carranza, are you going to speak? No? Okay, the next speaker is Tran San Ha.
Excuse me, you don't run this meeting. This is your first and last warning, okay? You are being disruptive. Mr. Haas, you're...
Chip, good morning, everybody. In America, we have the failed president. We have the failed U.S. Supreme Court. We have failed U.S. Medicare Central. We have healthcare improve quality control fail, and U.S. Consumer Report never work. It's all the system in America, control in America is broken. It's very dangerous. They lie are killing everybody. Everybody. We never save. But I'm here. I know I am the only one here with all of you. We have to work together and remember, put my name on top of your fighting. We will win. If you don't do that, it's the war. They would use ICE or whatever the war against American people. It never stopped it. But thank you, Chip, and support me. We together fight for better America. We protect is everybody. Make sure we safe and America better for everybody. And I also fighting for better the world. So please, everybody support me. And not for me, it's for us. We together. Thank you, Los Angeles Police Department. So I here with you and we work together for better the world and better for America. We love you. I love everybody. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next speaker is T. Carter.
Chief. It's for the chief. If you could please make sure. That's for you. So I met with you, as I stated last time I was here in November of 2025. I gave you documents. I understand, Chief McDonald, that you are not a sole investigator. You are the chief of the police division that has so many officers and people. I understand that. You then directed me to speak. You told me that someone would contact me. No one contacted me. I came back in January here to this meeting. Jonathan Larson, who's sitting over there to the right, you instructed me to go with. And I noticed he seems to be like a pacifier, just to like escort people out and calm people down. He told me that he would get in contact with me, and Internal Affairs has. Internal Affairs has not contacted me. Jonathan Larson stopped emailing me, and I told him I haven't presented my matter regarding Detective Dumanes, who has done unethical things to me, and Detective Dumanes is still working for LAPD. Mr. Larson tells me I filed a complaint for you, but no one called me to get the information. How can a complaint be filed when I haven't given all the details? I just told him today, Mr. Larson, sitting over there. No one has contacted me. I filed it on your behalf. I said, well, where's a copy of it? So I can see the details so I can honor that or not honor it. So he just walked away from me and told me he's filed it on my behalf. Then I contacted Internal Affairs. They tell me, the detective I'm calling about, Detective Dumanes. Oh, this is you calling? We're going to call Detective Dumanes. How am I supposed to get Detective Dumanes investigated if all these roadblocks are going on? So I'm asking now the panel, if the panel can please take oversight over my matter and put my matter on the agenda or come back and revisit Detective Dumanes, ID number his ID number is 300, Detective Dumanes is 37028. He's still working for LAPD. He's done ethical things to me. What can I do? It's been since November. Now we're going in months later. The person you put me in contact with told me he took a complaint on my behalf. Can I get a copy to see what was written? I have not given him all the details and the facts, and he walks away from me. So I don't want to engage with him. Who else on your establishment that I can deal with? And I ask for you to have oversight over the matter because I understand you aren't the investigator. So who else can I speak to other than Jonathan Larson while I'm here today? Because I keep coming down here paying for car service. It's just...
Thank you. The next speaker, William Good, please.
And can we ask the Inspector General's office to have someone?
Yes, I have a representative here. He'll meet you in the back.
Good morning. Now, Teresa, you just made it clear that nobody in the community runs this meeting. You don't run it either. Karen Bass really runs it. I just watched you guys do 20 minutes of some scripted PR for Karen Bass's reelection. It was all bullshit. This order asking them to do the things they're already doing. It's just PR bullshit. You want to do that during your own time, do it then. You know, you're canceling meetings every other week and you're limiting public comment. Why don't you show the community respect and don't subject us to that bullshit? Now, you want to go ahead and, be a hero for Karen Bass. Why don't you be a hero for the rape victim that the LAPD cop, Gabriel Spadas, raped? Put her on a 5150 hold. As soon as she got out of the hold, contacted her, said, I did you a favor by keeping you out of jail. 2 days later, he was having anal sex with her. 2 days later, he was fisting her. And 2 days later, he was trying to make her have sex with dogs. No, fuck you. Raping women with dogs, and nobody says anything. You guys are quiet. You talk about ICE and everything else, but his department has cops that rape women with dogs. No, pause my time then. You want to defend a rapist? Fuck you. You didn't even say anything. What was that point of that then? All I've got to say is Jim McDonald's been covering this up. There was a lawsuit filed over it. All the texts, they admit it happened, but then they came back and said it was demonstrably false, sent it in to Post, and they didn't decertify him because of your personal ruling of demonstrably false. This guy's a predator. I've talked to other victims of his, multiple victims. He's been stalking women for years. He is a threat to the community, to Hunga community. You guys got to do something. Get him off the street. And fuck you. No, fuck you.
The next speaker, Michael Ackerman, please.
You fucking rapist.
One moment.
gentleman that's holding his ears,
Yeah,
is
it's
he
too hard to
listed?
hear, huh? It's too
I
hard to
don't
hear
know. I
about
don't know if
a
it's,
woman being raped by a cop. Stick your fucking fingers in your ear. They're doing all the same thing.
Becky.
I'm coming to your fucking house.
Becky.
I'm coming to your fucking
Becky.
house.
Becky.
I'm gonna be there tonight. Watch.
Becky.
And I'm coming after all your clients. I'm gonna warn them about you being a fucking rape offender. Fuck you.
You may proceed.
Okay, good morning. For any criticism I have of the police, it's 10 times worse for the district attorney's staff because the DA is not doing proper oversight. Not all police departments have an oversight body like the Police Commission or the OIG, but they all have a DA. I recognize that the role of the Police Commission is fairly limited, but there are two things you can easily do which will make a difference. The first is to issue public statements asking the governor to have National Guard investigators look into police misconduct. Any reputable police officer should be eager to undergo a military-level inspection, and any officer who expresses reluctance should be viewed with suspicion. The second thing you can do is to refuse to participate in employee evaluations on serious matters like officer-involved shootings until after the district attorney has completed its own investigation and issued a public report. Ask yourselves why you are doing these evaluations before the DA does theirs. I think you are being abused by the DA. Criminal investigations are supposed to be public, but employee evaluations as well as Board of Rights panels are confidential. The public has no way to know if the panelists are being given a manipulated picture of accusations. And you can be sure that if you find no fault or minimal fault, these findings will be used by the DA. So stop participating in what are functionally secret kangaroo courts until after the DA makes its report.
The gentleman who has a hearing issue, did you submit a card? I'd like to accommodate you. I'm going to call you next. What is your name? You're next. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You can speak. Excuse me. The lady with the LA cap. Sitting on the second seat to the edge, second row in the edge. Yes, you are being disruptive. You've been disruptive the entire time. This is your first and last. Excuse me, I'm not speaking to you. You've already been warned. You are asked to remove yourself, please. Sergeant at Arms, please remove this gentleman with the pink keffiyeh. Right here, with a mask.
We all just watched this fucking guy disrupt the meeting, right? He didn't even get a warning. He gets to speak now, and I'm getting kicked out of the meeting for being disruptive? This guy's fucking.
You are being disruptive. Get up and get out of here, please. Who else? Excuse me, the guy with the camera and the hat, you are being disruptive. This is your first and last warning. You are continuing, you are being removed. Sergeant at Arms, please remove this gentleman with a hat. Please get up and remove yourself.
Fuck you all, child molester defenders. You're like Trump bitches. Fuck you, fuck Trump, fuck you, IDF, You shut the fuck up, tell me what to defend it. Fuck you, bitch. You motherfucker, kid, all of you motherfuckers elected me. Come on, duty girls. You fucking like duty girls, motherfucker. Come on. Fuck you, fuck us, fuck them, fuck you, tell me what to defend it, motherfucker. Fuck you all.
Okay, you may proceed. You have 2 minutes.
Hello. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Chief McDonald. I am Ukrainian by birth, American citizen, Angelinos for the past 25 years. First of all, I want to say thank you to Captain Jess Falk from Rampart Station and Sergeant Dylon Wells from Rampart Station and Captain Zine from Banay Station. They've been very constructive, respectful, and doing great job to help. However, within the stations, my station, Rampart Station, detective in control, she was investigating and denying to accept elderly abuse from me. I've been abused at my building at the West Lake. I filed complaints, and detective in control came to my apartment. Instead, investigate my complaints. She's investigating me, and she's advocating for those who are accused. I accuse. She's like being advocate for them, and I told her, if you wanted to advocate for those people or whatever, just leave the station, leave detective job, become a lawyer, and do the job. She's instigated the manager of my building, and she disclosed very sensitive information about investigations from Banai Station and Rampart stations. She's instigating my manager to evict me from my apartment. However, the most
Your time is up. Thank you. Your time is up. Call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Audit LA.
Thank you and good morning. I'd like to do a quick CPRA request, though, about the meeting with the mayor, whether or not Scientology was there, and if so, who. And I also want to request that you guys put Phil Tabby back on CPAB, because apparently he understands that Scientology commits crimes against children, and you have several of them on your CPABs, which really they need to be removed. I also want to bring up the book that about Jamie Mustard that we passed out. You know, he calls it his, basically telling the crime scene, showing you the crime scene of his childhood, what he had to endure as a child right here in Los Angeles. And, you know, he claimed, you know, I mean, he talks about how he feels ashamed of his past and ashamed of his story. But I said to him that the shame is not his. The shame is for the city, who has turned a blind eye for decades on these crimes against children and humanity. I was listening to another podcast by an Eric Rader, and I would like to submit that as evidence to go along. I don't know how to do that, but I want to submit it as evidence along with this. And he also grew up here in, you know, in Los Angeles. And now he was not part of Sea Org, so this means that this child abuse happens when it's not just Sea Org members. At 12 years old, his job was to do the, you know, the cans for the adults. He was doing the interviewing. One of his clients, or you know, was talking about, you know, confessing about animal abuse, and would sit there and you know, give the sounds of what the animals sounded like as he was abusing them, and how this sexually turned him on. This broke Eric as a child at 12, having to do that. It's still going on. These children still do auditing. They get audited and they give auditing. And it's all a lot of it is very sexual in nature. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. Please help.
The next speaker, Laura. Finn. Yeah, Finn.
Okay, hi. I want to echo what Audit LA was just talking about Scientology. We're having to do our own investigation, as you can see, because there's not enough police officers that have the confront level or whatever you want to call it to be able to go in and do something about these indentured servants that they call Sea Org members. Last week, Jim, you weren't here. I put a whole pamphlet together that has all the logos and all the front groups of all the fraud, scam Scientology organizations, how they infiltrate into the city with their drug-free programs, all the author services who pay all the money that goes for the Hollywood parade, all of that. None of that should be happening. The city shouldn't be taking any money from an organization that has multiple criminal allegations with children. There's court cases currently open right now with Scientology about abuses that have been going on for 40, 50 years. Child X was a book that one of the baby children from the 80s describing in detail what was going on with the gang members in LA and all of that, where kids were just being, let go because they were told, you're a Scientology kid? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll leave it up for security Scientology to deal with. The police keep giving Scientology some sort of leeway, including with ICE. You know, at this point, ICE would be valuable to rescue people that are indentured servants in the Sea Org that are getting their R1 visa used. They're using the R1 religious visa to get people in here from other countries because they can use it for 3 years, and then they keep them. They hold their passports, they hold all their identification and everything. That's not freedom. If ICE came and went and infiltrated Scientology's building, they could free people back to the
Dr. Melina Abdullah. Greg Akili. Tadiwe Abdullah. Michael Williams. Oh, I'm sorry. Greg Akili.
Michael, you want to go before me? It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to be here to remind you of two things. One, that we definitely discussed it. And you have demonstrated every possible way to reinforce that. Secondly, we are calling for and have started a petition calling for you to be fired. No officer that I've seen has publicly said we will only enforce certain levels of the law. And when it comes to the black community, we enforce all levels of the law. And so with that discrepancy and with that kind of, we'll enforce some laws and not some others, you need to be fired. And this body can do it if they choose. So in the next few minutes, I'm looking forward to hearing from Michael, and I'm glad that I can say that Black Lives Matters LA has a Michael as a part of his action team. So thank you. And we don't trust you and we won't trust you.
Yes.
Unlike you, I follow the rules. So, y'all beat up the mother of Jeremy Flores. And this pig didn't even say anything about it. Didn't even say anything about it in his long-ass report. He's lying to you. And again, you all fail to do your job and even look on social media to see what happened. That's a base level research that y'all could be doing. They arrested his minor sister, a boy that y'all killed last summer, and then punched his mother and arrested his sister, threatened to send her to juvie. Y'all are sick. And we see it time and time again. Because y'all are the same ones that refuse to hold, y'all will arrest a minor, A minor. You'll arrest a minor and threaten her with charges in juvie, but you won't arrest the ice pig Brian Palacios for murdering someone. For murdering Keith Porter Jr. This is your police chief. He's choosing to do this. And this is the guy y'all want to back up. Again, we don't come here. We don't come here because we believe you guys are going to do anything. We come here because we want to expose you. Because there's no better example for why the police need to be abolished than this commission. Because if you are the ones who are supposed to be accountable and holding them accountable, then there's no hope for the police department. Because the same police department that overlooks the crimes of Scientology, the same police department that can punch the mother of a person that they murdered, the same police department that allows an ice pig to murder someone and get away with it, the same ones that allow them to kidnap people on a daily basis and then arrest the people who are trying to stop ICE from kidnapping people. That same police department is the one that y'all want to back up, and they all do this.
Mario Sanchez Torres.
Erica Sanchez. I'm my sister Evelyn Sanchez. We're the sisters of Mario Sanchez. On March 14, 2025, my brother Mario Sanchez was shot and murdered by 4 cops from Southeast Division. And we want answers. We want accountability from you guys, and we want to see an update what happened with my brother, because it's gonna be a year and we haven't heard anything from you guys. So I want those officers to be held accountable for what they did to my brother. It was a traffic stop. He had no gun. He had nothing, no weapons. So please, if you guys can give us an update. Or can you guys talk about it? No?
And then as well, when the LAPD video was released, my brother was a victim in that video, but he was put as a, sorry, what is it called? Sorry, as a suspect, but my brother was the victim.
So we need an update. Next time we come, we want to hear you guys talk about something important, a murder that happens, because these cops cannot keep doing this to the people.
The next speaker is Zay Jarrain.
First, I'll say if we had faith in the system, we would rely on it. Instead, we're protesting it. Our presence here is a protest of the system. We're not working with you. And before I start, everything I'm saying is framed as if LAPD officers weren't moonlighting as ICE agents. I'll pretend that isn't going on and speak to the conscience that I have to pretend that you guys have. So, our lives are under attack by a domestic terrorist group, and LAPD is protecting them in real time. Again, I never speak from conspiracy theory. When I come up here, these are facts. And these facts have been revealed at yesterday's congressional hearings. Former DHS attorney Ryan Schwenk resigned after calling ICE training program deficient and defective. A legal representative of the bar at this nation's highest level refused to represent a government agency. Ryan Schwenk volunteered to instruct a class on constitutional law for new and inexperienced ICE agents in training after an extensive career representing law enforcement at state and local levels, and decided to resign after receiving the following orders to instruct new ICE agents to violate the Constitution by entering homes without judicial warrant. They're being instructed to do this. Additionally, he noted that 240 hours of training had been cut from the program since the Trump administration took office, and specifically classes that teach the Constitution, our legal systems, firearms training, the use of force, lawful detention, and the limits of officer authority. To be clear, there are 0 hours of training regarding the use of force. So these are not your peers. These are indoctrinated vigilantes who have been turned loose on our streets, and you need to be doing something about it. Staying silent is going to very quickly blur that blue line and make your jobs very dangerous, very fast. So you.
The next speaker is Nadia. followed by Q. Grace.
Daniel, is it Tabor, Tabor? Either way, Daniel, I think something I'm still trying to wrap my head around is the fact that when you had a question about ICE and their particularly who and which communities they're targeting, you asked Jim McDonnell. He's the LAPD chief of police, not the head of ICE. Why would you be asking the LAPD police chief about matters regarding immigration enforcement? The answer is clear. LA is not a sanctuary city. You continually, time and time again, violate your own policies, which require that you share neither personnel, although you've quickly debunked that in this meeting, nor information with immigration enforcement, including the Department of Homeland Security, as well as ICE and HSI. You explicitly violate this via Flock. Flock is a surveillance tech, an automatic license plate reader vendor, and we wrote you a letter about it last year. Flock technology is used by LAPD, businesses, and home associations, which capture license plate numbers in view. They capture people, they capture pedestrians, they capture the people who are inside of cars, as well as the cars' details themselves. AOPRs and Flock particularly stalk drivers and their everyday movements. That includes three main components. It includes optical character recognition, OCR software that analyzes license plates and converts it to visual characters into digital check. Why this is relevant is because who is using Flock? Flock is used by you. In fact, you have a memorandum of understanding with them. But Flock is also used by federal agencies when they query your data and they query private businesses' data to stalk people. That includes U.S. Border Patrol, ICE agents, local police. Flock has contracts with over 5,000 law enforcement agencies across the country, and you make sure that the data sharing between LAPD and ICE is streamless. From schools to shopping centers to our neighborhoods, you stalk people every day, from everything from immigration-related searches to criminalization of our neighborhoods. Cancel your contract with Flock.
The next speaker, Hamid Khan. I'm sorry, it's Nadia. One moment.
I'm here to speak plainly about LAPD's PATH program because what you call prevention is preemptive criminalization of youth. PATH, providing alternatives to hinder extremism, is not a mental health program. It is a rebranded countering violent extremism operation funded by the Department of Homeland Security. It embeds LAPD into schools, counseling offices, and faith institutions by having LAPD train teachers, therapists, clergy, and social workers to identify and report so-called extremism in young people. You're deputizing the adults in young people's lives to surveil them. Communities in LA rejected CVE in 2018, and now it's back as PATH, expanded into a 500-person network of informants feeding youth into LAPD threat assessment teams. And once a young person is flagged, that information doesn't stay local. Through fusion centers and federal partnerships, it flows into broader systems of information sharing that DHS and ICE can access. You call this risk assessment, we call it presumption of guilt. And we've already seen how LAPD treats youth dissent. At recent high school walkouts, LAPD downplayed and lied about their brutality. But that dishonesty is not surprising. LAPD has a long history of targeting and criminalizing youth, from gang databases filled with Black and brown children to abusive LAPD-led youth programs. PATH is just one layer in that war on youth, moving surveillance earlier, deeper, and more invisibly. The priorities are clear. You can pretend like you care about youth development. Meanwhile, you're funding threat assessments and intelligence gathering. You pathologize frustration, you medicalize dissent, and you convert political awakening into risk factors. At the same time, you're expanding drones, technologies that will integrate into the same surveillance ecosystem. Information sharing with federal agencies is rewarded, as stated in this $9.7 million grant application you'll probably approve. And where are the suspicious activity reportings for 2024 and 2025 audits? PATH is not about preventing violence, it's about identifying young people early, labeling them as criminals, and inserting them into databases. You're not protecting youth, you're teaching them that their schools are intelligence sites, their counselors are informants, and their...
Hamid Khan.
Excuse me, I understand your concern. Okay, I understand your concern. You've had your opportunity. Okay, fine. Just wait till the end. Just a moment. Mr. Khan.
There was a lot of talk about drone as a first responder, this DFR acronym, and everything else that is being used. But what we are seeing is a massive expansion. This is what mission creep is. This is what we talked about back in 2014 when Dragonflyer X6 drones were given to by Seattle PD to LAPD, and then they were grounded. So what we are, and now with LAPD applying for this 9.7 million grant retroactively with the federal government, you're going to see a massive expansion of surveillance and massive expansion of drone use. And we've seen in the past that how the state of North Dakota was already debating equipping their police drones with non-lethal weapons. And the state of Connecticut had been talking about it. So this is what we see, just what we saw the history of SWAT over the last so many years, as this was supposed to be for extraordinary circumstances, hostage situation, barricaded suspects, on and on and on. But this is the normalization of drones as an everyday tool for control, for crowd control, for mass surveillance, and for harassment, for the, just as in addition to the ghetto bird, which goes and harasses and intimidates communities in South Central Los Angeles and various other communities. So we keep on seeing this expansion. Going back to something else that was raised by my colleague Q as well, that it's been a year since we wrote that letter to the LAPD, to the police commission about the license plate readers. And we mapped out meticulously that how Vigilant Solution, Exxon Fleet 3X, Motorola's, and Flock Safety are being triangulated to capture everything that we do. And in their own records, they came back that in 2024 they had over, what was that number? Yeah, they had 1,132,441,520 license plate hits in 2024 alone, which means
Call the next witness.
Jason?
Your time is up. Your time is up, Mr. Khan.
Since the last commission meeting, we learned that LAPD murdered 2 people on New Year's Eve. Video was released of 3 pigs suffocating Lamar Harper, a black man, to death in a holding cell. In that video, the so-called most transparent pig department in the nation didn't bother to include how much time had transpired between leaving Lamar's limp body in the cell and when pigs decided to check up on him. Harper was placed on life support and died days later. His in-custody death didn't even warrant a news release. Was that Robert Port's choice? Danny, does that bother you? Or are you too busy being a blackface on white supremacy? Now, LAPD has also released the video of the murder of Lawrence Gonzalez, and the name of that killer pig is still unknown. It's worth noting that the body-worn video released in your critical incident video is intentionally low quality in an effort to stop the public from IDing these pigs. Additionally, LAPD omitted 1.5 minutes of that encounter and any body-worn video directly after killing him. It's clear that these pigs got fed up with Lawrence getting the best of them and decided that warranted a death sentence, all while using the cover of, quote, he's got a gun to provide justification for shooting him. These edited propaganda videos exist to provide cover for your murders, and it's truly repulsive for the LAPD to post pics of some very minor scrapes and bruises of their pigs to garner sympathy after literally murdering someone. Now, during this commission's line of questioning about Skydio 2 weeks ago, there was no mention of how ICE and CBP use these same drones to prey on our communities, or how Skydio has contracted with every branch of the U.S. war machine. There wasn't any questions about their deep ties to Israel, having provided hundreds of drones to carry out the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza after the glorious events of October 7th. As pigs talk about an LAPD budget crisis, they remain silent about how Heidi Feldstein Soto wants the city to come up with another $400K to handle LAPD liability lawsuits, or how the LAPD pours tens of millions into surveilling organizations and communities who fight back against the terror of this department, while crying about the lack of funding for weekly suppression details for its heavy metal task force. Now, during an interview with CBS, McDonald said that LAPD targets where crime is most likely to happen. Another lie. This building is ground zero of where crime is most likely to happen. It is the hot spot, the nerve center, the capital of crime in the city of Los Angeles. And Teresa, if you're going to give exemptions or allow people to speak, you don't allow disabled people
Next speaker, please.
Jax. The next speaker is Jax.
You're being disruptive. You're being disruptive. He is to be removed, please. You are to be removed. please remove this individual.
You don't pick out all these other people. All these other people. I got a warning for
Would you please, Sergeant at Arms, would you please remove him?
It is what it is. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Where am I supposed to move my stroller? Don't touch me. Move. Y'all need to touch. Move. He's ridiculous. You got kids, bro. Watch out.
You have 2 minutes.
Refuse to accept that you guys are going to be using taxpayer money to surveil on citizens going grocery shopping, going to the 7-Eleven, doing nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. We're not going to accept this. We're going to shut it down because we're not giving in to dictators because you sold your humanity to the orange peel and to their pigs. AOPRs are not the solution. We do not need to be surveilled. We already have enough pigs every corner flashing their little lights at me. For what? Walking down the street doing nothing. Nothing. AOPRs are not something that people will approve. Even behind these doors, we will continue to get in your face and pressure you to shut it down. We know you make loopholes. We know you use our money for human trafficking, for pedophiles, for predators like the chief of police right here that comes after women. I want to remind you, this isn't a me against you for ALPRs. This is everyone going to be surveilled. And it's going to be you. You're going to be spied on. Every single crime you're doing behind these doors is going to come out. And you're going to pay for it. And your future generations are going to pay for it. Not just through this trashy-ass supposedly justice system. This is going to get paid for in every realm, every single dimension possible. Because everything is seen under God's eyes. Don't forget that.
And Madam President, we are at the 60-minute allotted public comment time, and we have 9 cards left.
There are 9 cards left. We do want to have I do want to give an opportunity to have everyone speak, but we cannot give you 2 minutes. I will give you 1 minute. Call the next person, please.
The next person is Lauren Brown.
All right, I came down here simply as an observer, and boy, have my eyes been opened. I had no intentions of speaking and consequently don't have anything really professionally prepared. But as a resident of Boyle Heights, I was at the meeting last Wednesday that's been referenced with the altercation in the parking lot. As we were about ready to leave, we got word that there was a man outside with a gun and we couldn't leave. I quickly texted my daughter who was waiting in the parking lot with me. I was more concerned for her safety and told her to get down and what was going on as much as I knew. It became apparent, and first of all, I'm grateful for the response of LAPD to protect us, but it became clear fairly early on that this was more of a mental health crisis. So my issue is more with the amount of people that showed up, with the stance that was taken, with the resources that were used, because I'm a taxpayer that pays for all of that. I moved here 17 months ago. My taxes are 2.5 times living in the city what they were where I used to live. So again, I think that was an overstep of resources.
Thank you. The next speaker, Megan.
For a police magnet school program, and you're just going to vote yes on that. The idea that LAPD should be running schools for children with what comes out of this department on a weekly basis. Statutory rape, pedophilia, giving minors alcohol and drugs, protecting and profiting from the child sex trafficking cult known as Scientology. The fact that just like priesthood, police work attracts pedophiles and rapists and misogynists because of the immense impunity that you grant them to do whatever the fuck they want. It takes me an hour and a half of driving and $12 US to attend this meeting. Fuck you, Teresa, for making it harder to participate in police accountability than it was 5 years ago. You're a fucking dictator. Rasha, how dare you talk about crowd control tactics? This is LAPD suppressing every freedom movement.
Thank you. The next speaker is Amber.
Police have always done. That is the
Your time
purpose
is
of
up.
police. You're on the side that opposes slavery. You're on the side that opposes the end of slavery. You're on the side that opposes the end of civil rights.
You are being warned that you are disruptive. You continue to be disruptive. Please remove her from the building, please.
Down the people. And to not protect the people, it's to protect the status quo and your fucking property. Woo!
You may proceed.
This Saturday, I attended the Golden Dragon Parade. The LAPD was out all smiles and waving, popping wheelies, speeding and honking up and down Broadway. It was not the same for the Martin Luther King Day Parade or for the student walkouts. They were met with full show of force and riot gear and rounds of ammunition. It's disgusting and disheartening. How do I explain to my 15-year-old that the LAPD hates black and brown people? How do I explain that LAPD and ICE are one and the same and can make their family disappear? Have any of you ever had to tell your children don't run down the street in your neighborhood when they come visit because the police can and will shoot them just because? That's all.
The next speaker is Gato. Derek here. Jamie Cusick.
So you all ruled that the murder of Linda Becerra Moran was out of policy. You ruled that Officer Jacob Sanchez's choice to fire on an anguished, crying woman who he had been sent to rescue was out of policy. The only reason you delivered this once-in-a-blue-moon ruling was due to the massive outpouring of community support for Linda. The critical incident video of her torture and killing portrays behavior so grotesque and blatantly illegal that even you knew that the mainstream liberal media that worships you would probably not look too kindly on an in-policy ruling. But out-of-policy ruling cannot bring Linda back to us. And for all intents and purposes, you killed her. Because every week, you sit here and approve all of the funding that LAPD asked for, which they use to carry out their racist, murderous agenda. Let's not forget that this fascist pig tried to claim that Linda's murder was in policy immediately after it occurred. And the fact is that he was right. No matter what the law might be, it is LAPD's policy to terrorize, attack, and kill the civilians, and especially, always, the trans women.
Thank you. The next speaker is Addie.
Your time is up. You are being.
To say we know that nothing's going to happen with you guys in terms of the law being forced. There's no rule of law anymore. All law enforcement agencies are working together, and they are not enforcing the law. They're breaking the law. We should be putting the onus on Governor Newsom. We should be focusing our attention, I believe, on him. I'm just trying to bring attention to this. He is our governor of our state, all our elected officials. Nobody's holding law enforcement agencies accountable. Our governor, his job is to see that the law is faithfully executed. He is letting all of this illegal actions by ICE, by DHS, by our police go unchecked. Everybody is being held unaccountable. We need to put the pressure on our governor. All of our elected officials are passing the baton on to each other and acting like they can't do anything. We need to put the pressure on them. We need to go to them and hold these people accountable, hold the police accountable, hold DHS accountable, and hold ICE accountable. There's no rule of law anymore. We need to have the conversation with our staff, with our staffers, with our elected officials about what we are all going to do when there's no rule of law.
Mr. Herman?
Yeah, I'd like to keep it PG-13 on the basis of BS 1628858. The Honorable Judge Carol Bose Goodson, as she put on record. However, the only thing you really told me is that he followed you outside with the children. Is that correct? All right. Then.
He used countless F-bombs in the court of City Hall. He cursed you, you said? He said, "Fuck you!" That kind of thing? Yes, Your Honor. In the rotunda? Well, talking about the public property, we're all still talking about an area where there are great freedoms of speech.
First Amendment, 42 U.S.C. 1983 politely, Fuck you! This is a public record. Document it and record. Thank you, motherfuckers.
And that is the final speaker card, Madam President. Oh, I'm sorry. Eric? Okay, I thought I had called you. I apologize. Eric Andrews.
My name is Eric. I'm a photographer who's been documenting LA's response to ICE since June. I'm here once again to talk about the student walkouts starting on February 4th. That day, I witnessed the LAPD arrest someone who'd just been hit by a car driven by an ICE agent. The ICE agent wore a mask that said police across his face. He was dressed in a Hawaiian shirt patterned with RPGs, which is the mark of the Boogaloo Boys, a right-wing militia that tries to spark a second civil war. That ICE agent lounged on the back of an LAPD car for something like 25 minutes while about a dozen LAPD handled the arrest for him of the person he'd just hit with his car. On that very same block, the students soon showed up. At the last meeting, Assistant Chief Harrelson straight up lied and told the commission the LAPD didn't use crowd control techniques. That is false. During the February 13th walkout, it was not just FPS on that loading dock. That very same ICE agent in his police face mask brought a can of bear mace and what I understand was an M4 standing on that loading dock to scare the students away. They were not used, thank God, but this is a campaign of terror by people whose bidding the LAPD has been doing. Thank you.
And there are no other public comment cards.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Before we proceed, we're going to take a 10-minute break and then continue with consent agenda items. Madam Secretary, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. We have items 3A through O. We are pulling item 3A. So we'll be voting on 3B through O. Do any commissioners wish to pull any items? Commissioner Shields?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Garcia?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Scobin? Commissioner Tabor?
You want to pull something?
And Commissioner Sanchez Gordon?
Other than 3A, no.
Okay, so we'll be hearing 3B through O. Do we have a motion to accept the recommended board actions?
There's a motion to accept consent agenda items B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Now we'll move on to regular agenda item 4A, the verbal presentation by the Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation on Black History Month.
Okay, before we begin, may I see you at the side, officer? Okay, your complaint has been received. It's going to take a while, and we will give you a copy of the complaint. No, it's not funny. Okay, nobody here is laughing, okay? Excuse me. Would you go address that again, please? Would you go outside and address it again? Wait for him outside. He will be there. Excuse me. Wait outside, and we will address it. We are going to proceed with a public consent agenda
3A. And we have Assistant Chief from Kunis and Detective Hackman.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Inspector General Barragon. So today we're here to discuss the Counter UAS grant, and with me I have Detective Mike Hackman, who is the department's coordinator in regards to drones. He works directly under me, and he's the coordinator for the drone program, and I have Senior Management Analyst 2, Barbara Montague, who's the officer in charge of the grant section. The city or the department has applied for the Counter UAS grant through Cal OES, and we are here to answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Hackman, will you be making the presentation?
Yes, I will. And would you like a brief overview of the
Brief
counter US?
overview, please. You may proceed.
Thank you, Commissioner. So the Counter UAS grant is to bring new public safety capabilities to the department. As we see the use of drones greatly expand, both in our use as well as the public's use, it also brings new risks. And we've seen this play out both across the U.S. and internationally, most specifically in Ukraine. And so the idea behind this grant is to provide technology, both detection and mitigation, and a networked software platform so that the department can understand basically all of our airspace. So we know what drones are in the sky, we can identify drones that may be potentially hostile or adverse to our interests, and we can secure our special events as well as our mass gatherings. And so there was a FEMA grant issued to provide enhanced security ahead of the FIFA 26 games that Los Angeles gets to participate in. And we submitted a very competitive application. Actually, was awarded the most in the state of California for it, and that's the grant that's ahead of you today.
Okay. I have a couple of questions regarding this item on the agenda. Does the grant not expire until September 30th, 2028? When the OSO projecting to implement the CUSA equipment?
Great question. Thank you for that. So the grant is actually bifurcated into two parts. There's two tranches. The first part is the $250 million that was just competitively bid for. There's a second part that will go out for solicitation next year, and the overall project expires in 2028. For this first tranche, it is expected that performance is completed ahead of the FIFA 26 games to bring those capabilities ahead of the soccer matches.
Do you have anything to add? Ms. Montague? No, very well. This grant is for a substantial amount of money, almost $10 million. Is FEMA providing the funds in advance to spend, or is this a reimbursement grant?
I can answer that. It's a reimbursement only grant.
Okay, is that it? All right. Does the department have enough money to front fund this?
No, the department does not have sufficient funds to front fund the purchase of the equipment. However, the department is in talks with current discussions with the CAO's office for a possible reserve fund loan or any other means that we could front fund for the project.
And this would mean to complete this purchase, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So will the purchase require for it to go to bid?
Great question. So the purchase vehicle that we're using for this is a DLA purchasing agreement. And as part of that, the DLA secures the competitive bids and RFPs if necessary behind the scenes. And so we've already fully satisfied both federal and state Cal OES procurement criteria for it.
Thank you. Is this equipment only useful by the department for the FIFA 26 events, or does it have a value that extends beyond that period?
Another really good question. So it has enduring value. All of the software licenses extend through at least the Olympics. So we're protecting ourselves not just for FIFA 26, the Super Bowl in 27, as well as obviously LA 28 Olympics, but it also has value to the city as a whole. So we saw during the Palisades fire that the threat of drones was interfering with the use of water-dropping aircraft. And so we can share our detection network with the fire department. We know that DWP is interested in airspace awareness over the critical infrastructure sites, both on the energy and the water side, and we can share our detection network with them. Obviously, Port PD has similar interests to us, and once again, we can share our detection network with them. So the whole city family benefits from this grant process. It just so happens that this was a police-led grant, but it's a city family benefit.
Thank you. Last question. Has there been discussions with CAO's office regarding securing a reserve fund loan?
Yes, we are. There's ongoing discussion with the CEO's office in terms of possibly securing a reserve fund loan to support the program.
Thank you. I will now pass it to the commissioners. Any comment, any follow-up questions? Commissioner Shields?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for that. And thank you, Madam President, for pulling this one for discussion, because I think it's an important topic. And I really do believe that the investment in the counter drone technology is very important, and that the department really has to get ahead of this issue given the serious public safety and national security issues raised by drones being operated by bad actors in the city of Los Angeles. And so I'm glad that you're being proactive in seeking grant funding for this important mission. Now, before the department actually begins using any counter drone technology, my understanding is that it will present to the commission a policy that directly lays out the times and purposes and methods of the use of any type of mitigation or detection type technology, so that, again, this will supplement our current drone policy of affirmative use, but also an additional policy governing in what method the department can use this technology to detect and mitigate drones. Is that correct?
You're exactly right, Commissioner. I just finalized our first draft of the policy, and so I suspect we'll be reaching out to Executive Director Sibley soon to maybe begin an executive committee to review that, but you will have that very shortly before you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shields. Commissioner Garcia, any comments, questions?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Scobin?
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing a bit about how the technology and the products work.
Absolutely. So we have a multi-layered technology strategy, and I'll get into the details of that first, but it's very important that we have this multi-layered strategy. You might have recently seen in the news that there was the border potential incursion with the drone flying near El Paso, and it turned out to be a Mylar balloon. And that is generally reflective of relying on a single mode of detection without a verification system. And so we want to prevent those false positives here, and so it's end-to-end multi-layered. So anchoring the strategy is a broad city-based RF detection network. They're 360-degree radio frequency detections placed at key critical infrastructure sites throughout the city. Each one has about a 5 nominal mile range, detection range. And so when you overlap detection ranges, it allows for broader precision pinpointing. And so that extends to about 95% of the city's population coverage and encompasses the vast majority of our critical sites within city limits. Adding to that, we have 2 enhanced fixed site locations, one of which is covering the Civic Center, so PAB, City Hall, our MDC jail, our communications facilities, all of the things that are really important, obviously same on the county side. And that is directional RF sensors in addition to a 360 radar solutions paired with pan tilt zoom cameras. And so the way that works is the radar can detect small objects, which would include like a Mylar balloon, and then the cameras slew and cue to detect the object and verify that it is in fact a drone signature. It matches some drone signature image library. So that is enhanced here at the Civic Center, and then our main public communications hub, because obviously the radio communications are critical for us, again, a lesson learned in the Palisades. In addition to that, we have 2 full mobile detection and mitigation kits that we can deploy to venues like the USC Coliseum, LA Live, Crypto Center, where we have these major events. And that is, again, the full set of detection, including the cameras and the radar, as well as the mitigation solutions. The mitigation solutions at both fixed sites, they're all RF based. It's considered cyber takeover, or cyber mitigation. One is cyber takeover, which allows us to remotely control the drone. We basically break the link, if you will, between the remote pilot and their drone, and we take it over. That's our preferred solution because we can put it into a safe landing zone. The drawbacks to that is it has limited power output, And so as a fail-safe solution, we're using jammers. This is a high-powered jammer that basically just breaks the link in its entirety, and then the drone would either safely land where it's at or would execute its return to home procedure and go to where the drone initiated from. The mitigation side requires some special authorities. It's 6 USC 124N certification. They just amended this in the Safer Skies Act from the 2025 NDAA. We do have personnel on our department that are 124N certified, so we can do that mitigation, but it is the last resort option. We recognize that most unauthorized drone use is going to be innocent, unaware, unsafe, potentially violative, which is state law only, and so that's where we rely on our ground intercept teams. Anchoring all of this is our C2 platform, the command and control platform for all of the drone detection equipment. And it integrates the 360 sensors, the directional sensors, our radar, our PTZ cameras, and then each of the mitigation devices themselves have their own detection abilities. It pulls all that into one single pane of glass so you can have citywide view over it. And so that allows us to have a broad perspective. The C2 software is either cloud hosted and it's by Dedrone by Axon, or can be on-prem. We are going to do cloud-based hosting for the built-in security it has. It's SAC 1, 2, and 3 security compliant. It is, of course, by Axon, which is our trusted partner for evidence.com, and the only PII stored is just the drone remote ID. So that's kind of where we're at for what the technical details of the package includes.
And I'm sorry I missed it. You said there was 2 physical locations, one down here in Civic Center. Where was the second?
Mount Lee. It's our public communications kind of main tower.
And so is there coverage over the entire city with just those 2 static locations?
Great question. So for detection, there's coverage over the whole city. For fixed site mitigation, no, it would just be a nominal radius around them that we supplement with our mobile kits so we can take out in advance to a venue. But again, because mitigation is usually, it's always the backstop option. The broad detection network allows us to do most of the interventions with human assets, to talk to the pilot, to request them to land it, et cetera. So we do have broad coverage, just limited mitigation.
And can you clarify what you mean by mitigation?
Sure. So mitigation is the use of cyber to stop the flying of the drone. So either where we land it where we want, or we break the link so it returns home.
So that would require, if in an area that's not covered by the 2 fixed, that would require the mobile unit to be in that area in order to conduct mitigation?
It both would, and would also require a certified mitigation operator. They would have to have the 124N authority, it would have to have a TFR up, and it would have to be under an area that's either critical site, event, or infrastructure.
Okay. And my other question has to do with the grant itself. When did the department apply for this grant?
I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
When did this, my follow-up question has to do with the grant itself. When did the department apply for the grant?
Great question. So the department applied, we submitted our application November 21st. And this is actually—
Of what year? I'm sorry.
2025.
Okay.
And this is actually where the department really came together and kind of excelled. The kickoff webinar for it was November 6th. So we had 15 calendar days to submit the grant, and we submitted the most competitive. So that's a success.
So I recognize that the timing of grants, could be quick, but given the important nature of the many grants that the department applies for, a handful of those have come to the commission to approve retroactively. I think it'd be good for the department to provide the commission with periodic written reports, monthly, quarterly, that list of grants the department is either intending to apply for or has applied for, because I think it'll give us the opportunity to learn more about those proactively.
Let's stay with that point if we can. Do we know at this point how many other retroactive, and I recognize this is not specific to this grant, but how many other situations, similar retroactive grants that have been either approved or in process that will be coming to us? Do we have any sense of that now?
We typically ask for retroactive approval for our grants. So upon we get a department approval for the application, and then once we get awarded, then that's when we move forward with approval to accept.
Is there an ability to sort of provide an executive summary or an overview of those grants prior to submission and or subsequent to funding. So that what we're being informed of is what's in the pipeline, and we're not then later trying to decide whether we would have done it or not supported or not supported. At a future time, we can sort of interdict at a time where there will be sufficient time for the department to respond or for us to be further informed so that we could then moderate our position. I guess that's.
We can certainly provide that report, Commissioner.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go back now to this particular grant if I can. So the funding cycle, as you've described it and our chairperson indicates, ends in 2028. What's the expectancy of having this technology still available to us beyond that? What's the plan? How do we either finance it or acquire it and maintain it on where are we with that thought process?
Great question. So the hardware is ours. It's owned. It's fully owned. The ongoing cost would be. It's called library updates. Basically, it matches the drone signature against a known drone signature, and it can tell you what model it is. Mm-hmm. So the ongoing licensure would be for library updates and then warranty support. At this time, I don't think we have a funding source identified. More than likely, because of the value of this to the city as a whole, it'll become a budgetary request item. But sitting here today, I can't tell you specifically where the funding will come from.
Right. The funding source for this particular grant is which agency, and do we know how long the funding's been available, or was it just through the Big Beautiful Bill, or what's the?
Great question. Yes, exactly. It was the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that provided the funding, and it was specifically for the $500 million was specifically for Counter UAS as a one-time investment. The 250 for the FIFA host cities as well as America 250, and then the second tranche of the 250 being released next year will complete this Counter UAS grant, and it's not expected to be reoccurring.
All right. In any sense of the likelihood that this particular program will continue beyond or be included in any future federal funding side, or any sense of any interest explored with the state of California or other sources?
Yeah, so I think the interest in Counter UAS just continues to grow. So although this grant has a definite expiration, we do know that they're putting talks together of a potentially $1 billion grant to support LA 28 as a whole. We do know that there's other disaster and emergency preparedness grants in the pipeline that may be eligible funding. We don't have the NOFOs and NOSA funding opportunities for those yet, so I can't give you specifics on whether or not this is a technology we can pursue in them. But certainly from my radar, no pun intended, we are absolutely tracking every available funding for COS and how we can enhance the city's capabilities.
Okay, we want to go now to the question of the current technology being utilized in this. Is it U.S. manufactured technology or foreign manufactured technology that we'll be deploying in this space?
Great question. The vast majority of it is all U.S. manufactured. The D-drone equipment is U.S. manufactured. The jammer is made by now AeroVironment Blue Halo, which is U.S. manufactured. The only foreign manufactured equipment is the Enforce Air 2, which is an Israeli company that has a licensing partnership with a New Jersey-based company who actually is the one who's procuring it. So it does meet, for procurement purposes, all American-made equipment.
Okay. And then I didn't hear you say California in that respect, so not yet manufactured in the state, or?
I don't believe any of it's manufactured in the state. There is a California-based company, the AeroVironment Blue Halo, that is one of the vendors, but I think it's manufactured elsewhere.
Okay. And what if you know, what's the, are there other competitive technologies or competitive manufacturers that are not necessarily in our realm, not used by us, but exist in the market?
Yeah, there's a good variety of competitive technologies. One of the things that really informed our selection choices was some discussions with JADA 401, which is the Joint Interagency Task Force on Counter Drones, and what worked well for them and what didn't in their field training exercises. And then DHS/FEMA has a division called NUSTIL. It's the Uniform Standards and Testing Laboratories, and they release test results for all of the COS equipment, and it has the performance metrics on success identified, success tracked, the percent success of mitigation. And so relying on those, we adopted an equipment bucket, if you will, that we believe will perform the best for this city with its unique topography and RF environment.
You had mentioned when you began that there was 95% coverage, and I'm just curious, what does the 5% represent that is not covered?
So at the risk of being too open about our entire strategy in public
Understood,
session,
yeah.
it's generally the lesser populated areas of the city in which there isn't critical infrastructure or people living.
All right, so a mountainside or someplace, okay. All right. With respect to, we talked about equipment, you mentioned about facilities and mobile transit capability. What's our current human resource capability given this technology and this grant, and what will it be when it's fully operatable, and then what, at the grant expires, what will then be our human resource responsibility?
So in the current state, we don't have owned detection equipment, and so any of the CUAS that we do is in partnership with the FBI's CUAS task force in the Los Angeles area. And generally, they expect us to match resources pretty close 1-to-1. When this is owned equipment, we will continue, of course, to work in partnership with them for deconfliction purposes. But most of the human asset investment costs for special events will be in our ground intercept teams. And so we will have officers specifically tasked and trained on enforcing drones, staged across and around the venues so they can respond quickly to the location of a drone pilot to try and get that voluntary compliance to get them to do the no-fly zone. So it's a by event. It depends on the venue. I can tell you most commonly the default is generally a ground intercept team per quadrant, so northeast, southwest side of the facility. But again, depending on the site layout, it could change.
Is there, you made me think of something else while you were speaking. I'm going to come back to that, but I want just staying in the human resource space. Since we've recently funded or recently approved an expansion of the drone program for other use within the department, is there cross-training opportunity for individuals who are now working in that space to learn this technology, develop a mastery in this technology? Or
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for synergy there. I don't necessarily know cross-training. The drone pilots are very specialized pilots and they operate in a centralized basis, whereas in the field we need our GITs literally in the field. But I do know that the DFR program could be very useful for helping us to identify the location of the pilots, especially in crowds. They could provide that overhead vantage point and direct our ground intercept teams to the location of the pilot. So I think absolutely we're synergizing from both perspectives, but I don't necessarily think this is a skill cross-training set.
And then just to the idea you shared with me, is there a possibility that during the grant cycle and subsequent to the grant cycle that other cities who don't possess this technology would come to us to say we'd like to rent, lease, utilize this because we've got, international rodeo or Long Beach Grand Prix or some other type of event that's not within the city of Los Angeles, or that we have no supervision for? Is that available, or is that an opportunity to consider?
Great question. So most of the equipment is permanent installation. It's fixed throughout the city, and so we wouldn't be able to procure that to mono-lease. Our 2 mobile kits, we theoretically can. There is mitigation equipment included in that, and so we have legal restrictions on who can operate that. And so I think we'd be very careful in that arena. I will say that there is a regional task force for counter UAS, and we are a participating member. So if a city who lacked detection and lacked mitigation had a need for it, they could make that request to the task force, and that's something that we could support in an official capacity, but I don't believe we would just hand over the equipment itself.
All right, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Tabor. Madam Secretary, I believe we're ready to vote on this single item.
Okay, for item 3A, the recommended board action is to approve the department's report and transmit to the mayor and city council. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the department's report and transmit to the mayor and city council.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Next, we will move on to item 4A, regular agenda item, the verbal presentation by the Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation on Black History Month, and we have Sergeant Gray.
Morning.
All right, good morning, Honorable Board of Police Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Executive Director Sibley, City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and Inspector General Matthew Barragan. I'm Sergeant Louis Gray, assigned to the Office of Operations. Today I'm here on behalf of the Oscar Joe Bryant Foundation in honor of the celebration of Black History Month. I'd like to thank you guys for having me today. So since last year's Black History Month presentation, we are honored to welcome some new commissioners. So with that in mind, I'll briefly begin by sharing who we are and what we do. So the Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation was established in 1968 when a group of African-American officers gathered together to openly discuss the challenges they collectively faced and to identify solutions that would create a better future for those who would follow. From that historic meeting, our organization was born, and while we are proud of our history, we are equally proud of the department's evolution since 1968. Since our establishment, the Los Angeles Police Department has made significant strides. While the Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation still advocates for equity and inclusion, today, much of our focus centers on mentorship, leadership development, networking, and community service. We host promotional seminars throughout the year and maintain an established mentorship program that connects mentees with mentors aligned with their career goals and professional aspirations. We actively participate in and support community events, reinforcing our commitment to giving back to the communities we serve. We organize networking and cultural events that bring our membership together, fostering unity, professional development, and collaboration. The Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation membership is composed not only of sworn personnel, but civilian personnel as well. In fact, many of our board members are civilian employees whose leadership and expertise are vital to the success and continued growth of our organization. So, in honor of Black History Month, we would like to recognize the contributions civilians make to our department and highlight a true trailblazer that has paved the way for the future. So when one thinks about the Los Angeles Police Department, the image that often comes to mind is a sworn officer in uniform. But the truth is, the strength of this department rests just as firmly on the shoulders of our civilian professionals. They are our analysts, the specialists, the administrators, the technicians, the individuals whose expertise keeps the organization functioning, evolving, and accountable. Their work drives investigations, supports operations, and ensures continuity in ways that are often unseen but always essential. Simply put, civilian personnel are not behind the scenes, they are part of the foundation that allows this department to serve the city of Los Angeles. Rhonda Sims Lewis was a leader whose impact on this department was both historic and deeply personal to so many. On July 11th, 2005, she became the highest-ranking African-American civilian in the history of the Los Angeles Police Department. As Police Administrator 3, a position equivalent to the rank of Deputy Chief, she was the commanding officer of the former Administrative and Technical Services Bureau, also known as ATSB. Her command encompassed several critical support and operational divisions, including Facilities Management Division, Fiscal Operations Division, Property Division, Motor Transport Division, Scientific Investigation Division, and Personnel Group. Many who had the privilege of working alongside and under her leadership remember her for her unmistakable smile, her positive energy, and her genuine open-door policy. She was highly respected, she was approachable, she was present, and she was visible. She created a lasting impact that extended well beyond her tenure. She demonstrated what was possible through dedication, competence, and integrity. Her presence in such a significant role did more than mark a moment in history. It helped establish a pathway, inspiring confidence and opportunity for those who would come after her. The civilian executives, leaders we recognize today reflect in part the standard she helped set and the progress her leadership represented. So Black History Month is about more than recognizing achievements. It's about acknowledging a meaningful part of our nation's history, a history that has shaped the country, this department, and the opportunities many of us have today. The stories of resilience, leadership, and progress are not just historical moments. They are reminders of what perseverance can accomplish and how growth and inclusion strengthen us all. By remembering and honoring history, we don't just look back, we gain perspective on who we are and who we continue to strive to be. Thank you all. I'll now open it up for any questions.
Thank you, Sergeant, for your presentation. Let me ask our commissioners if they have any comments, any questions. Commissioner Taylor.
Well, thank you very much. And Sergeant, it's a pleasure to meet you, have you talk about, I call it OJB. It's, and not to use the slang or disrespect it, but it became part of my life when I was a deputy to Councilman Robert Farrell and coordinating with both the Oscar Joe Bryan Association as well as the Stentorians became part of my responsibility. I want to share with my fellow commissioners and with you that I'm also proud to say that my sister-in-law was a member of OJB, and if it's perhaps not appropriate, I can wait, but I wanted to just simply say that she's retired after 30 years as a non-sword member of LAPD. Police Service Representative 3 assigned to communications and the 911 center. And she was the very first person to tell me how successful and important it would be to get to know Chief McDonald, having worked with him when he was lieutenant, recognizing other officers in the department as they transferred out to civilian life. So I'm excited to know that the organization is growing and has this history that I wasn't aware of until reading your report today. So again, thank you very much for sharing. I wanted to also just add in this point that I had the privilege of running into Chief McDonald and members of the Oscar Joe Bryan Association this past Saturday at a program at the library off of El Segundo Boulevard in Los Angeles, the Black History Program, where I learned a great deal about the history and had the privilege of meeting the family, daughter, granddaughter, and grandchildren of the first African-American woman to become a Los Angeles police officer. So the association and the legacy of the African-American community as partnership with LAPD is rich and strong, and I'm, again, pleased that you were able to share this history with us today.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, Commissioner Scobin, any questions, any comments?
Just wanted to say, one, thank you for the presentation, but most importantly, and more importantly, thank you for your leadership. It's glad to see an organization like this exist to inspire people, and thank you very much for your leadership.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scobin. Commissioner Shields?
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant, for the presentation and for all the work that you do and for the work of OJB. As was said by my colleagues, it's such an important organization for the department and the community. So appreciate that. And whenever you are hosting events, please think of inviting the commissioners. We'd be happy to attend any events and the community engagement especially. And thank you for highlighting some of the important civilian staff that's within the department. I think it's a great sentiment of, the importance that they play in the department, and you taking the time to recognize them, I think, is very telling. One question I have is whether OJB either is involved in or has recommendations for the department on increasing recruitment, both with regards to like youth programs and also, sworn and non-sworn personnel to make sure that we are reaching all the folks that should be, encouraged to apply to the department. And also just making sure that there's nothing in the process of the department's recruiting process that creates any unnecessary obstacles to their joining.
Thank you. So we have always worked with we've worked with recruitment in the past, and we're always open to working with recruitment. But we want to keep in mind that so what we do with the Oscar Joe Bryant Foundation is on our own time. We do this all voluntary, off duty, run the entire organization, and a lot of our time is spent in ensuring that the officers that are on the department are developed for the future, that we're developing leaders, that we're providing them with proper mentorship. But we are very, very open to help in any recruitment efforts and volunteer our time to go to any recruitment events. And we are 100% and believe that anything we can do to strengthen the department and most importantly build future leaders of the department will, helps the growth of our department as a whole. And especially with our reduction in numbers, we do understand that recruitment is highly important. So as far as suggestions or anything like that, we're very open with meeting recruitment with help, but I know our department has a very robust recruitment system and process and a lot of great minds there, but sure, we are all open and willing to help.
Well, and as we often say, our best recruiters are those that are in the department, and you exemplify that. And so you just being out in the community, and if you could see it, you could be it. And so you and everyone else are just great examples for the department, and hopefully that is being utilized very well so that we're reaching all of the people that we want to encourage. But thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Garcia?
Yep, thank you, Sergeant. And I echo what my fellow commissioners have already said in terms of the appreciation for not only your leadership, but the leadership of OJB and all its members. I also want to request and or offer if there's anything we can do to support your events, and if we can request maybe a conversation around best practices as it pertains to the hiring, but also in recruitment, but also in terms of the leadership offerings that OJB has, and potentially what those gaps are in the department already in terms of leadership and how we can learn from what you all are doing. So, thank you.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant Gray. I also echo everything that my commissioners have stated. I think it's wonderful that we continue to celebrate African American history, and that the focus is also equity and inclusion, and that has not been eliminated. I think you're absolutely right that this is what shapes all of America, not just LAPD or other entities, but all of America. Regarding the recruitment and hiring, when we go to graduations, we see very, very few African American officers, and I'm happy to hear that you are also focused on recruitment and recruitment, so that really our law enforcement agency really reflects our city, and not just that it reflects our city. So, and so I thank you so much for being here and making this presentation. And please do not forget us. We want to be part of your celebrations, your cultural events.
All invited, I promise.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss agenda items 5A1 and 5A2 in accordance with Government Code 54957. Madam President, please let the record reflect that the Commission has concluded its work in closed session. We're now back in open session, and we'll have a report out by the Executive Director.
Thank you. So to item 5A, at the regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners on February 24, 2026, during the closed session, the board made the following findings by a 5-0 vote in each of the two cases. So the first case is item 5A1, officer involved shooting, case number 007-25. For tactics, tactical debrief, 1 Sergeant 1, 2 police officers 3, 9 police officers 2, and 1 police officer 1. For drawing and exhibition of a firearm, in policy, no further action, 1 Sergeant 1, 1 police officer 3, and 3 police officers 2. For non-lethal use of force, in policy, no further action, 2 police officers 3, 7 police officers 2, and 1 police officer 1. For intermediate use of force, in policy, no further action, 2 police officers 2. And for lethal use of force, in policy, no further action, 1 police officer 3, and 1 police officer 2. And then to case 5A2, which is officer-involved shooting, case number 010-25. For tactics, tactical debrief, 4 police officers 2. For drawing and exhibition of a firearm, in policy, no further action, 4 police officers 2. And for lethal use of force, in policy, no further action, 4 police officers 2. And that concludes the report out.
With no other items on the agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.